Hi, I'm Jay Krusch, founder and inventor of Bourbon Baggers. This video is an informational video for people on how to do a tasting with Bourbon Baggers, so you can experience one bottle of whiskey or bourbon with all of our different finishes and compare them and just have fun playing around with it. So this is a helpful video for people who are just big fans of Bourbon Baggers or our retailers who want to understand more about our product or host tasting themselves. So what we usually do in a tasting is we get some mason jars just like this, and we'll fill them about halfway full, however full we need for the crowd that we're dealing with. And then we just put the tea bag in there, and we give it about a half an hour to an hour, depending upon how much bourbon we put in there. Swirling it helps move it along, of course. And then what we do is we've got these sampling boards, but you can do anything. Just put out shot glasses. As long as you mark the jars and give them some sort of identifier so you know which is which. We pour them out just like this into little tasting glasses. These are 1 ounce tasting glasses. So when we do these samplings in Canton, Texas, which is where we do them personally, it's really only about 1/4 of an ounce of bourbon per person. So it's not, it's just enough for them to experience the product without using too much bourbon in the process. So we usually have them go in this particular order. We start with not enhanced, so straight from the bottle, and we're using Evan Williams. The reason we use Evan Williams is not only because it's an affordable bourbon, but also because it has a really neutral flavor profile. So on the bourbon spectrum from sweet to spicy, this one sticks out right in the middle because it's an unwheated, low rye, heavier corn mash bill. So it's just a really good blank slate for trying these different finishes. So on the first one, we let people try the not enhanced, as we like to call it. And inexperienced bourbon drinkers will usually get thrown back a little bit. It's a young bourbon. It's a 2-year-old bourbon. It's not bad for the price point, but they get to experience what that tastes like. The next one is our toasted oak. The toasted oak is going to bring out an oakiness, some vanillas on the nose. It's going to have a softer, smoother, sweeter flavor profile with that toasted barrel finish. Our charred oak. The charred oak is going to magnify the big, bold bourbon flavors, the baking spices, the dark sugars like toffee or caramel. It's going to have that classic flavor, but that 2-year-old bourbon is going to taste more like a 6 or an 8-year-old bourbon. The next one we test is our toasted cherrywood. Cherrywood's really interesting. Cherrywood instead of oak is going to give it a floral orchard nose that's going to remind you of walking through cherry blossoms and when they're in bloom in spring. It's really beautiful. It's going to have a sweeter flavor profile. And what's really interesting on the toasted cherrywood is that the finish is going to be extremely long and lingering. It's going to last and hang around much longer than traditional with bourbon. And the longer you let it linger, the more it will develop notes of cherry fruit. The last one's the smoke infusion. And this is a great one to finish because it's tough not to notice it. It's an oak smoke that you can do with just a tea bag, no fire involved, no gadgets, nothing like that. So going flavor by flavor, you can see that you can experience the same whiskey in 5 different ways. And it's not just for cheap whiskey, it's just as good for anything. I've got an E.H. Taylor back here that I use the cherrywood with all the time. I've got a barrel proof Elijah Craig that I use the toasted oak finish on all the time. Really, you can play with the same bottle in multiple ways. It allows people to enjoy it. You can have a bourbon tasting with just one bottle and your different bourbon baggers.